Alright, 2020 is ending. There's a few more days left in the year, so I thought in today's video, I'll spend some time talking about the 20 things in 2020. This is sort of a continuation of what I did last year in my blog, where I talked about the 3 things that I did in 2019. So 2020 has been a very grand year. Lots of things happen all around the world. Everybody is experiencing different things. So 20 things in 2020, it's a lot of things. And just a reminder here that the list of items or the order that I'm saying these things are not depictive of which one is more important. These are just like random thoughts that I have about 2020 that are listed out on my notes, and I kind of move them up and down based on how the story would flow. So yeah, go ahead and enjoy the list of 20 things that I have to say. If I were to think back what happened in 2020 a few years down the road, probably my clearest memory would be YouTube. Mainly because I've uploaded so many videos this year. This is video number 51. And I've kind of reached my goal of what I wanted to do in 2020 for YouTube, which was to upload one video every week for 52 weeks in a year. And I have done that. So I'm really proud of that. And this is definitely something different compared to what I've done in the past, which is take a lot of photos, but not a lot of video. Video content is 10 times or 100 times better than photo because you have moving content and also audio, which has a very interesting point of view to point back or try to relive that memory that you have in a certain period of time. I'm pretty sure everybody is kind of a victim of this. And me personally, I've tried to not compare myself with others in the previous years, but it's always kind of failed because when I try to do it, inevitably I end up talking to someone or see someone on social media and then I try to compare myself to that person. Now what that person is doing, that person is doing something great, I'm not doing what they're doing. But 2020 is different. The whole lockdown period has kind of given me a perspective where I can work independently in my own, my own zone and not really care about what others are doing, And that has done a great deal of effort to me personally because it provides me sort of more appreciation towards the things that I'm actually doing. So for example, if I'm shooting a YouTube video here, I'm more appreciative that I'm taking the time to, edit the video, shoot the video, script it out, and actually make content, I'm happy about that. And I'm not trying to, compare myself with others. I'm just trying to do my own thing and just be happy about the things that I've been doing. So a lot of things have happened in 2020, a lot of things which I personally don't feel comfortable talking about in front of the camera at this moment. Or maybe if I do in the future, I'll make a video detailing those sets of events. But the reason why I'm listing this point here is that I want to mention that if it weren't for these events or these things happening in my life in 2020, I wouldn't have improved my emotional strength or improved my emotional endurance to the point that I am right now. So I'm very grateful for the lessons and things that happened in 2020 that helped me grow just emotionally and just make me a better person to take on the various things in life. Life is complicated and growing emotionally is something that is, it's not a skill that you can learn per se, but it's more of like a life skill where the more you live life or the more you progress in life, the more you understand and the more you tend to appreciate it. I think alongside this whole YouTube channel comes the notion of me sharing my own perspective and also sharing my own thoughts on something. And that was one of the main goals that I wanted to do when I started this YouTube channel, was really to talk about my experiences in something and not just a specific technology or specific tech product or specific credit card. I know sometimes I do go very deep into those topics and talk about more a technical point of view, but at the end of the day, what I strive for in this channel really is to get my opinion out and to challenge myself to go outside my comfort zone because I am an introvert and I'm not really the best in expressing myself. So I thought that YouTube would be kind of this avenue where I'll be able to talk about these things, talk about to an audience. I don't know who exactly are watching my videos. I just want to share my opinion out there so that it can be heard. So one great example is with the Computer Science Education Week 2020 video series. As I mentioned in my blog post that I've written a few weeks back, I'll leave that down in the video description if you want to check that out. But I talked in that article or that blog post that I was actually very scared to make that video series because I was scared of the judgment that people on the internet will give me by saying things that might be wrong or inaccurate or too personal. So I took a huge time, or I took actually a long time to really figure out, like, do I actually want to do it? Because this talking about computer science and programming relates directly to my career as a software engineer, and I didn't want the stigma for people to say like, oh, this person is talking like random things on the internet that are inaccurate in a way. I think so. Every video that I've done prior to that has really prepped me or prepared me for that whole video series where I was, kind of breaking out of my bond and talking about my career as a software engineer. It has been an interesting journey so far about opening up more about myself. I definitely want to make it more personal in future videos. So stick around if you're interested in those kind of talks. In 2020, the reason why I'm saying that I'm smiling more and being more happy is mainly because I just have more photos of myself and just like video or like motion pictures of myself being happy and smiling. I know in some of the videos, or actually most of the videos, you see me just with this poker face, not just staring at the camera itself and not really smiling. The fact is that shooting video or like talking in front of a camera really is kind of it's a kind of stressful moment, and sometimes I need to remind myself to smile. That's why I have like this smile Dick Wyn behind my slate here. But the fact is that I think I smiled more and was more happy in 2020. In past years, maybe I was happier in the past, or like I smiled more in the past, but I never really had like photographic evidence or like actual evidence that I was actually smiling more compared to 2020, where I was taking a lot of videos, taking a lot of photos, and I was like, editing a lot of stuff. I see myself laughing, behind the scenes of all those like the actual shots that actually go into a video, all those blooper shots. I'm actually laughing most of the time. I just laugh at the things that I say wrongly, or like some facts that I got kind of wrong, and then I kind of realize that, and I kind of laugh based on that, and then I retake it again. But yeah, more happier and more smiling in 2020. This year was the first time in 5 years that I went home to celebrate Chinese New Year since I came to the US in 2016, and it felt really great. And it was probably my best decision of 2019 or like 2020, to be honest. Like going home for Chinese New Year, that decision to go home for that 5 days just to celebrate was really great. Like I wouldn't take it back or wouldn't like do more. I felt that it was just the right amount of time and just the right moment for me to go back for Chinese New Year. And I'm glad that I did it. So with this whole lockdown or kind of isolation period, I've had a lot of time to think about where I want to be in the next few years, or where I want to bring my career to. And that has led me to think a lot, research a lot, figure out what I want to do. And a lot of that thinking led to a lot of answers, and that has kind of gave me conflicting ideas of what I want to do versus what I actually need to do. So I'm still thinking about this, but it has kind of given me this crisis where I need to see like, what am I? Am I a software engineer? Am I a content creator? Or am I just like just a person with a lot of skills? What is my identity? So that has been something in my thoughts, and something that I'll probably bring into 2021 to try to figure out and try to iron out for my future. So I've known this for a while, that I've been eating too much meat in comparison to the ratio of vegetables and fruits to meat. But ever since I started doing the Grocery Haul Quarantine Edition series of videos, I've realized that to a higher extent, that I do really eat more meat than I eat fruits and vegetables, because what I'm basically doing in that series is to list out everything that I buy in my groceries, and I edit through that, and I hear myself talk about the groceries that I buy, and I really noticed that the ratio really is more meat versus fruits and vegetables. So I've been thinking a lot about trying out veganism or vegetarian for one day every week, and I haven't tried it out yet, but hopefully in the upcoming weeks or next few days I'll start to try it out and try to experiment with it. And I'm planning to do a video on that in the near future, talking about my experience trying it out, because I definitely feel that a lot of the recipes or cooking techniques that I know are based on meat, but never about fruits and vegetables. I know how to make a simple salad or make a simple stir fry, but beyond that, I don't really have much technique or much recipes under my belt that are fully vegetables or fully fruits only. So all throughout my life, I've sort of had this kind of mindset that I need to only spend money on things that are necessary and not just like randomly spend money on myself or like things that I like. Naturally, when I started to work, my budgeting focused a lot on the essentials only. I didn't really budget out for anything that is leisure or fun. I do like buy food that I like, or like, maybe go to a restaurant that I like or something that I'm craving for. But beyond that, I really don't spend any money outside of that to get anything fun or anything expensive really. But 2020, I did something different where I had a separate column in my budgeting spreadsheet to basically set aside some money or put aside some money for me to have leisure spending where I can just do it. I can spend on anything. I don't just randomly spend on anything. I do take to account like, is that thing worth it? For example, like this MacBook Pro, I bought it for $3,500 a few months back. I did a video about that. I'll link it in the top right corner here. I thought a lot about this, whether I needed it, and at the end of the day, I bought it for $3,500. It was more expensive than I wanted it to be, but I got it because I thought it was time that I spend money on something that I would use every day. I do use it to video edit, do code, and do a lot of personal things on this computer, and that added speed and added power definitely will help me make my life more easier or make my life more enjoyable. Like when I'm editing videos or I'm writing a script, it'll be more enjoyable. So late last year, one thing I tried to do was to limit myself to use Instagram for like 15 to 20 minutes a day, which back then I was using 3 to 4 hours a day of Instagram, just randomly scrolling and just like trying to compare myself with other people. That was bad because it wastes my time on time that I could use to actually do other things, more productive things. And also it took my attention from just other things that I should have been focusing on. So this year, when the lockdown started, I really challenged myself to not use Instagram to post things or to view things. I just use Instagram as a messaging tool. And lately, of sorts, I've tried to like tone down on Instagram messaging also, because when I get into Instagram, you just go to messages. When you open the application, you just can't stop to like see what's happening on the feed. And then you just get sucked in, and then like 20 minutes goes away. But spending less time on social media, specifically Instagram, because I feel that Instagram has been more of a toxic environment per se. Toxic in the sense where I tend to compare myself with others in a very strong way. Like people on Instagram these days tend to want to post something like the most grandest thing that they're doing, and that honestly takes me off and gets me in this whole zone of comparing myself with others. So I've been limiting myself to use Instagram less. I do still use Twitter a lot, but Twitter for me is more of a channel to, basically talk to myself. It's more of like a shorter version of YouTube where I talk about random thoughts in a more less organized way, and YouTube is more of an organized way. And hopefully in 2021, I'll be able to further limit my social media usage, because I do want to be more productive in things that I'm doing rather than spending time on just randomly seeing people's thoughts. So as a tech person myself, I've sort of had this mindset where anything that's available on a computer, I need to know that skill because it's computer related, it's technology related, I need to know about it. So video editing has been something that I've been wanting to learn for a number of years now. In the past, I've never done it mainly because I do not have the computer to comfortably edit that, and I don't really have the footage to personal footage, or I don't really take any video content that I can edit myself, so I've never really picked it up. But this whole YouTube thing that I've been doing this year has kind of pushed me to relearn video editing. I'm not an expert in video editing, to be honest. There's a lot of things that I have to learn about, and honestly, some of the fancy things that you see on my YouTube videos, I'm learning those on the fly. I don't just like learn them and just apply them. I'm more of like, I think this video or I think this frame needs this kind of like fancy editing or this kind of technique, then I'll learn how to do it. So I've never really been a fan of reading books because I read very slowly. So when it came to audiobooks, I really liked them, and I've started listening to audiobooks last year. And this year I really took it to the next level. I started an Audible subscription for 12 books for 2020. So I've listened to a lot of books this year. One highlight is How to Win Friends and Influence People. That book has been very interesting to listen to. The author has a lot of depth in terms of the topic that is talking about how to actually communicate or how to more effectively share an idea with someone else. I've been listening to that kind of in repeat mode because every time I go through a certain chapter or certain the whole book again, I gain a new perspective on what the author is trying to say. And also recently I've been listening to Barack Obama's The Promised Land. Pretty interesting book about how he started his life and how he rose up to his presidency, and it's narrated by himself. It gives it a more personal kind of touch in that audiobook. And I've also been listening to this book called It's Okay to Laugh, Crying is Cool Too. It talks about the author's experience in life and different events and how they're reacting to it. Yeah, it's a very emotional book. Definitely recommend that if you're into those kind of genres. I'm sure that I'm not the only one watching a lot of TV in 2020. Everyone's staying at home locked. It's either they're cooking or they're watching TV. So I naturally watched a lot of TV this year. And the reason why I'm actually putting in this set, I didn't mention it earlier, was because I thought of what would be the right set to talk about the 20 things in 2020. And this couch is probably the most, what shows 2020, because I spend most of my time outside of sleeping and just cooking. And this couch, either just to watch TV, lounge around, or just like do work on this couch here. So I spend a lot of time watching TV. I'm not proud of the hours of time that I spend watching TV, but I've kind of picked up on some great shows. Like recently I watched Ted Lasso on Apple TV Plus, which is honestly hands down the best show I've watched in 2020. That show was a kind of an interesting curve to what I was expecting out of that show itself when I first started watching it. Definitely recommend it. And another show that I've really liked is High School Musical, the series on Disney Plus. I really liked High School Musical, and that show kind of built upon the whole High School Musical series itself. And lastly, I think so, Marvel movies. I spent a huge chunk of time really to watch the entire Marvel movie series, from Avengers to the different kind of like breakout movies that different characters had. I've never really watched Marvel movies in the past. I never really thought I would like it. But since I had a lot of time in 2020, I opened Disney Plus, and Marvel movies were there for free. So I thought, why not watch it since I had the time? And I really liked it a lot. Marvel movies are actually it's great. I don't know why I never really watched it in the past, but I'm glad that I did it this year. So earlier this year, I received a promotion at work, and that felt really great. It feels like the work that I'm doing is being recognized by the company, and work for me has been very fun and challenging at the same time. And my coworkers and my managers themselves, they have been very supportive of my career. Work is something that I did not kind of think about in 2020. Work has been very stable for me, and I'm very grateful for that. So one of my regrets of 2019 was that I didn't really travel that much or didn't fly that much. So naturally in 2020, I wanted to change that. But I only managed to travel once this year, which was when I went home for Chinese New Year in January, and that's it. So hopefully in 2021, I'll be able to travel more. I was really looking forward to travel a lot because I had a lot of points on my credit cards that I could redeem. But then COVID-19 came and travel came to a halt. Travel was, I could have traveled, but I wanted to be safe, so I did not travel. So ever since I started working myself and I had to be financially responsible for my own finances, I started this spreadsheet where I tracked all my finances. And ever since then, I've been trying to refine it and make it better so that I can more easily see and have a bird's eye view of what's happening in my finances, because it's not as easy as just looking at one bank account, because I have multiple credit cards and multiple bank accounts where money is flowing in and out. So I need to have a central location where I can track all those purchases or track all those expenses, so that I know that I'm not overspending or I'm not spending too much on a certain category or a certain thing. So that is an ongoing process, and hopefully in the future, if I do get a good enough system, I'll make a video explaining like how I manage my finances and how I manage multiple credit card accounts and multiple bank accounts, and how all of that ties into having a bird's eye view of what's happening with my finances. So I've heard about the 2008 recession in the past, but I've never really understood the impacts or what it really meant for individuals or businesses. I personally lived through 2008, but I don't really know beyond people losing jobs and companies going bankrupt. So experiencing the 2020 recession has been an interesting time because I'm seeing it happening in real time. Like when they reported that we're in a recession, like that was very interesting to see it in real time, and seeing reports and videos talking about what the recession is like in 2020 and how it was different to 2008 has really given me more context into what a recession is and what are the impacts of a recession and how a country or a region can kind of bounce back from a recession to have more financial liquidity in their economy. So in December of 2019, I bought the Ring Fit Adventure game in the hopes that I would use that to exercise more or motivate me to exercise more frequently. And that worked out really well for the first few months of the year. But after I did the 30-day Ring Fit Adventure challenge video, I kind of lost motivation and I kind of had this weird feeling that I did not want to exercise more because that 30-day challenge was mentally and physically stressful for me. Yeah, ever since then, I haven't really exercised that much. I'm not really proud of saying that, but that is the reality of what happened. So at this point in time, I've cut my own hair this year for way too many times already. I think on average, I cut my hair once a month, mainly because I want to be consistent in front of YouTube videos so that if I shoot a video now and like upload it a month later, I always look the same and not just have one video of me having long hair and another video like my hair is cut off. Yeah, if it weren't for YouTube, I wouldn't have cut my hair. I would just leave my hair as long as possible and just like let it grow out. I don't think I have been doing a very good job in cutting my own hair. I know the sides and the front and everything looks okay, but the back, to be honest, like I don't know how I'm cutting my own hair in the back. I just cut it randomly because nobody sees it. I don't go out. And in front of the camera, what's most important is my side and front, which I mostly got covered. I think this doesn't need a lot of explanation. Like in 2020, everybody loves the convenience of not going out and having things delivered directly to their doorstep. So besides like Amazon.com, I also use DoorDash, Instacart, Amazon Fresh, Uber Eats, and Grubhub to get like food, groceries, and just anything, to be honest, that's delivered to my doorstep so that I don't need to go out and risk myself getting exposed to COVID-19. So that is the 20 things in 2020. Definitely these 20 things are not the only 20 things that I could have talked about. If I had more time or if I wanted to make this video even longer, I could have gone beyond 20 items, but I limited myself to 20 things so that this video would be not too long. And to close out this video, I want to kind of answer this question that I found online, which is, if I could travel back to January 1st, 2020, what would I do? So I thought a lot about this question, and my answer for that is that I would do everything the same that I did in 2020, but I would try to slow down or try to enjoy the different moments that happened in 2020. Because all my life, or a lot of things that I do in a very quick manner and I don't really enjoy it. So for example, if I'm shooting a YouTube video, I can just like slow down a bit or just like take my time to enjoy the process of talking in front of the camera and recording myself versus just like talking in front of the script and just like, focusing on getting the video done. And yeah, that is all that I have to say for this video. If you have reached to this point of the video, do consider subscribing to the channel, because if you've reached to this point of the video without skipping too much of the video, you must like to hear what I have to say. And as I've been saying all throughout this year, everybody stay safe, stay at home, and I will catch you in the next video.